Quansah had a really good preseason, started all the games, only lasted 45 minutes in this one. A little muscle injury meant he was replaced by Konate for the second half, so hopefully it's not too seriously. Janusz, Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was a tough season for him last season. He spent some time in midfield, injuries, he spent some time at right back. If he can stay fit and play the role that Arne Slot wants, and he said he's a right back who can play in midfield and get forward. We now know with football these days, and when you played as well, it's not just a case of this is a four at the back. We've seen the right backs get forward. How key could Trent be for the way that Arne Slot wants to play this season?
I mean, one of the most, if not the most important player there. And that's why this whole project is so important, right? Because this win goes a long way. If you look at Liverpool, they don't have a formidable start to the season, right? So this project, think about that, because, you know, you're talking about Trent. I mean, they have, I got to look, you know, United's there, but Brentford, Forest, Bournemouth, Wolves, and Palace before they look at, I think, Chelsea and Arsenal. So if they started well, because in a way, I mean, Arne Slot and Liverpool have to convince not just Trent, but most importantly him, but Mo Salah and Van Dijk, that this project is worth staying for and continue, right? And although we can make a case here that there's, in my opinion, there's zero chance that they're going to keep all three, simply because I think it's going to take a lot of money. If you look at Salah at 32 and Van Dijk 33, okay, you can sacrifice someone. I think it's for another program, which one, right? But I think Trent at the age of 25, his leadership already and what he means to Liverpool, being a local boy, I think it's super important. So obviously, if he's going to be inverted, if he's going to come in the midfield, if he's going to get involved in the attack like he did at his best a couple of seasons ago, I think it's key. And you know, the early season and the way Arne Slot puts this team together is going to be important. I think it's vital, absolutely vital, that Trent Alexander-Arnold plays a good season for Liverpool and stays with Liverpool for the foreseeable future.
And that's the key, Luis Miguel, because he's out of contract next summer. Real Madrid have been linked with the player. Of course, if Real Madrid come knocking, it doesn't matter which team you're at, you're going to listen to them. Janusz has suggested that Trent is probably more important for the longevity of the football club than Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk, who are also out of contract. Would you kind of give him what he wants, or can you give him what he wants if he wants to try something a little bit different and maybe go abroad?
I would give him what he wants, because I echo Janusz, and I'll go even further. I'll confirm it. I think that at this point right now, Trent Alexander-Arnold is Liverpool's most important player. He is ridiculously important. And I think today we just saw a tiny little bit of an example of what we're going to see. We already knew, and as you mentioned, MD, last season there was a little bit of a struggle on where he was going to be. But today, if somebody just grabs that heat map of what he did today against Ipswich, you know, it was wonderful. On the right, passing that ball, that through ball, that fantastic through ball for Mohamed Salah, for Diogo Jota's opener. He also pushed himself on the left-hand side. He was supporting in the midfield when nobody was attacking, was taking chances. This is just a kind of multi-dimensional Swiss Army knife type of performance that Trent Alexander-Arnold is going to continue to give. And yes, this is very important, because there are going to be suitors, bigger suitors, with all due respect to Liverpool at this moment, like Real Madrid, for example, that might lure him out of Anfield. So it's very important for Arne Slot to make sure to say to TAA, listen, you are a massive key part of this project. We're going places, and it all sort of begins or either fully includes you, and we need you here. So as long as he stays healthy, I believe that Trent Alexander-Arnold needs to remain the priority for Liverpool. But another wonderful performance today, but it's match day one. Let's see how it goes. But he's a tremendous talent. I'm a big fan.
I'm going to finish on Ipswich shortly, but I just want to get a word from Janusz on Szoboszlai, because we've seen him at Salzburg, we've seen him at Leipzig in his preferred number 10 role. That looks like where he's going to play this season. He'll be in a battle with Harvey Elliott for that position. What did you make of his performance in the more advanced role today, Janusz?
I want to see his identity. You know, it looks to me that so far he's almost like a complementary player to Liverpool. And I think in that midfield, which is vital for any team, but for Liverpool in particular, it's a little bit different, I suppose, under Slot, because it's more of a 4-2-3-1 than it was 4-3-3. But I think he needs to take responsibility on his shoulder and show it to us that he can decide matches. And of course, today he was involved in the second goal very much, right? That through ball combination play with Mo Salah was very, very good. We saw that early last season, but it faded away. Yeah, there were injuries here and there and all of that, but I think, Szoboszlai came in to Liverpool as one of those players I felt that was going to change that midfield. In other words, that he was going to be, if not pulling the strings, he's going to be one of those players box to box that influences games more often than not. And we haven't seen that just yet. Today, we saw glimpses of that. It's early. Hopefully, and now after European Championships, when he finds the rhythm, we're going to see that. Because for me, looking at that midfield, even today, it's still a massive puzzle, and I'm not all that comfortable just yet. LME, you were talking about the number 6, which I think is absolutely needed. Somebody very, very experienced, somebody that distributes and runs that midfield, but also is capable of protecting the back four. And right now, there's a number of players that sort of, kind of can do it. We look at Curtis Jones, been play there, but not really it. McAllister, you have to sacrifice him. So with Szoboszlai right now, as you said, in that advanced role, I want to see him kind of, making sure, kind of that second goal. That's what I want to see more of, where he decides and he runs that midfield. And you always feel that he's going to find somebody, because in front of him, he's got 4, 5, 6 very good players.
I want to end with both of your thoughts on Ipswich, hopefully more positive from Janusz than we had right at the top.
I didn't mean
this. I know you didn't. And, well, I'll tell you someone we did know, our dearly departed friend and colleague Paul Mariner, wherever he's sitting with his glass of bubbles upstairs, would have been looking down, smiling. And I shared on social media a header that he scored, the winning goal against Liverpool. And for Ipswich to be back in the top flight after so long out, they were one of the first teams in the Premier League back in 92, 93, is great. And Kieran McKenna's done a brilliant job. Now, LME, there's the plaudits. The problem is there's a big gulf between Championship and Premier League. We saw that last season. The 3 that came up all went down. Do Ipswich, out of the 3, Southampton and Leicester, have the best chance? Signing Sammy Smodics yesterday. They've got Calvin Phillips on loan, albeit he'll take a bit of time to get up to speed. Do they have the best chance of the 3 promoted teams to stay up the way they play under Kieran McKenna, LME?
Let me begin by saying that we are in the Premier League era right now where the gap between the teams that are getting promoted and everybody else has never been bigger. And part of it is because of the money that's obviously circulates within the Premier League. And I'm not even talking about the big boys, but even the mid-table clubs. And as to your point, last season, all of them that went up went back down. And part of it is that because adjusting to the Premier League from the Championship is now a bigger mountain to climb. I do think Ipswich Town has the best chance out of those bottom 3, mainly because I'm that much of a believer in Kieran McKenna. I think he's a wonderful manager. He was a candidate for Manchester United's role if Erik ten Hag wasn't going to go. A lot of great praise for him from not just other managers in England, but also around Europe as well. And I think it's very important for Ipswich Town to do 2 things. Number 1, be strong at home. And that doesn't necessarily mean you have to win every game. Just don't lose, especially against teams that you really have a chance at. And then the other one is, if you're going to lose away from home, number 1, don't do it every single time. But 2, be careful of that goal differential. Because once again, I see a season where the teams that are fighting to stay in the league are going to be fighting for scraps, for inches. And you have to make sure that you're strong away from home. They have talent there. And also in that first half, by the way, Liam Delap had a good chance to open the scoring. Omari Hutchinson should have taken that first choice with his left foot, who I'm a big fan of as well. They have some talent there. So the key is going to be, when you play those teams that are around your vicinity, you have to get points. You have to do it. And I believe in Kieran McKenna. And as you mentioned, other players are going to come in. So out of those 3, I think that Ipswich Town has a chance. But it's not far. It's not far off. Obviously, we have to see yet what Southampton and Leicester City do. But I'm a believer in Kieran McKenna. I think they can stay up.
Yeah.
I'm biased, because I'm of age that still remembers not only Paul Mariner, Mark, you know him very well. You wrote a book about him, but Murin, Tyson, and Alan Brazil and Garrett's. When I was still living in Poland, they were playing in that UEFA Cup against Wiedź and Zibi Boniek at the time. I remember those matches. So it's hard for me to kind of switch off and look at that. But what you said, LME, is right. I'll wait and see what they do against teams that they're supposed to beat. How, today they play with house money against Liverpool at home, obviously in the first half, that high press and all of that. I don't know if that's going to work all the time. I think they'll try, but let's wait and see. I still think that, for example, probably Leicester City on paper, if I look at their squad, is a little bit better than what I see with Ipswich Town. I wish them all the best, but I've seen that before, right? Vincent Kompany and Burnley in the Championship played attacking football and great, right? And we know what happened. I don't know. They may be a little bit better than Luton Town, but I think it's going to be a long season for them because the depth. I mean, what did I hear today? 7 of the starting 11 today made the journey from League One. That's a big gap. It's a nice story to tell, but that is a massive gap.
Great to have them back in the top flight, dining at the top table. But this was Liverpool's day. A succulent second half performance. Mohamed Salah with a goal and an assist every opening weekend at Liverpool. He has either scored or assisted, 14 in total. And with his goal and Diogo Jota, who scored the first competitive goal under Arne Slot, Liverpool win it by 2-0. I would leave